Okay, you should have just completed the On Your Own problems on page 6, problems 4 and 6. Let's take a moment and go over those answers before we move on. Problem 4, I had 234 divided by 9. I know that 9 will not go into 2, so I had to go over to 23. 9 can go into 23 2 times, so I put the 2 up above. 2 times 9 was 18. I subtracted. I had 5 left over. Brought down the 4. 6 times 9 is 54. When I subtract, I have 0 left over. So the answer to problem 4 is 26. Now, as I mentioned before, it's always a good idea to check your work. So if I did 26 times 9, I would get the answer of 234, so I know 26 was the correct quotient or the correct answer to my division problem. Problem 6, I have 840 divided by 105. Now in this case, 105 cannot go into 8, it cannot go into 84. I have to use the whole dividend of 840. 105 can go into 840 8 times. I multiply, I get 840 exactly. I subtract and I have 0 left over. To check my work, I would do 105 times 8, and that gives me 840. So I know the correct quotient or answer is 8. Now these two problems worked out really well because I did not have a remainder left over. Down at the bottom of each one, you can see that we have 0. Division problems don't always work out this way. Sometimes when you do a long division problem, you're going to have a remainder. And we're going to talk about what to do if you get a remainder in our next example problem. Okay, this is example 4. In this problem, we have a 301-foot high swing at an amusement park. The swing can take 64 people on each ride. We have a total of 8,983 people that want to ride the swing today. All the rides are full except for the last ride. How many rides are given and how many people are on the last ride? Now, we need to think about this problem and determine what is the appropriate operation to use. In this case, I'm starting with a large number. I want to divide it up into several groups, so we are going to use division. I have the quotient or number, I have the dividend or number that I need to start with in the middle of the bracket or inside the bracket, 8,983. And the divisor or the number of riders in each group is 64. When I complete the division process, I end up with 140, but I have 23 left over. Now, in this case, it does not come out to 0 at the end. So, in this problem, they wrote remainder 23. There's 23 riders left to ride. Now, I prefer that when you have a remainder, instead of writing R23, I consider that the elementary method. What I'm going to ask you to do is simply write the remainder as a fraction. The reason for this is the number 23 on its own doesn't tell you much or give you much information, but when I know that it's 23 out of 64 for that last group, it gives me a much better idea of what that value is. So to rewrite the remainder as a fraction, instead of putting the R here, all that you're going to do is put the fraction bar in, and then the number you're dividing by is the denominator. So 140 remainder 23 is the exact same value as 140 and 23/64. This indicates that I have 140 groups of 64 and then one group of 23 remaining. Now in this case, we can't do half a ride. We have to have 140, but there's still 23 people left to go. So in this case, they do need to add another ride in order for those people to go on it. So our answer is 141. If we just did 140 rides, there's still a remainder. So the total rides for the day is 141. Okay, now on page 6 at the bottom, there are a couple of on-your-own problems for you to work out. I have crossed off problems 9 and 11. Please, in your notes, complete problems 8 and 10. You will have remainders. Please write the remainders as a fraction.